Hello, Industry Explorers. Welcome to another episode of our Women in Rigging live Q&A series. This is part 2, and we are going to talk about some really fun, deep conversations. It's going to be light, it's going to be deep, it's going to be interesting, and I'm happy to have you guys here with us. Today, we have our same panel. Hopefully, we are joined by Maria, who, I don't know where you're at, girlie, but for now, we've got Lauren Duffy Franzoso, we have Renee Mulholland, we have Mel Stinson, and we've got Sydney Rush. And I'm your host, Siobhan Colleen. We are unfortunately not joined by Katrina today because she is working this week. Pow, pow! First, yes, our industry is getting back into business, and Girlie's got some work. I am so excited for her. So, without further ado, Lauren, Renee, Mel, Sydney, please introduce yourselves in a minute or less. Let's start with you, Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren Duffy Franzoso. I've been a rigger for about 15 years. I am predominantly based out of PRG Scenic Technologies in New Windsor. I think that should cover it.
Nice. Nice, short and sweet. Renee.
Hi, I'm Renee Mulholland. I'm from Seattle. I've been in rigging for about 13 years, and I do everything from rope access to building stadium builds to installations to you name it, I've done it.
Nice. Excellent. Mel.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm out of Seattle as well. I've only been rigging about, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years now. And pretty much same thing. I do a lot of corporate rock and roll, everything. So about the same as Renee.
My turn? Oh no, I have lost. I can't hear you. That's not good. But luckily you guys can hear me. I'll fix that in a second. But yeah, I am Sydney Rush. I am local to Las Vegas. I do rigging with IATSE Local 720 and also have started doing some automation work on the side. Yay.
Woo, automation. All right, can you guys hear me now? Excellent. Great. So unfortunately, it seems like we're having some technical issues on the Facebook side. So if you are seeing this, you could probably see it on our Industry Explorers live page. and you can definitely see this on YouTube. So start sharing those links with your friends, get everybody on board and watching. And then as you guys are popping in and watching this, let us know where you're watching from. All right, let's start with our first topic here. Climbing, strength, and agility. We all know that rigging is a very labor-intensive job. So I would love to hear from the panelists. What is some of the more labor-intensive experiences that you've had, and what do you do to build up your strength and your mobility, and just how do you thrive in this world? Lauren, let's start with you.
I think first off, as a young, inexperienced person, when I first joined the rigging world and permanent installation, it was really shocking to me how much of my strength was based in my core. I'm not an upper body strength person. I'm a legs and core person. But I did come into a facility where the permanent locking rail was very high. I'm not very tall. So at 5'4", when you are adjusting a locking rail to have winches that slide underneath, do like a capstan, when you raise that about 6 inches, that puts the bottom of the locking rail right about a bra height for me, which is pretty hard, especially if you're going to pull a line. And if you're making your strength in your core, like I am predominantly up that way, I found it extremely hard to start the momentum of a line in that particular house, and in fact ended up ripping my labrum in 3 places in that house for that series of time. So I think know your body, know where your strength is, know what you can do, and just be kind to your body. It's your tool. Beyond the fact that it's just nice to be in shape and to be physically active, like it is your tool. So know what it feels like, know what feels comfortable, what feels wrong, and know when to back off.
I think that's really excellent advice. Sorry, I've been working behind the scenes trying to get some links out there so people can watch all this. Renee, talk to us about some of your techniques for improving climbing strength and agility.
Well, in my side time when I'm not working, I do a lot of hiking, and my strengths are really in my legs and my thighs. I just try to maintain, some kind of physical activity when I'm not at work. So that way, when I get to work, I'm not just wiped out. But I think also having, plenty of sleep and, eating properly and stuff like that can help. Having a lot of water, because sometimes those days are cold and rainy, and sometimes those days are super hot, and you're up higher than everybody else, and that's where all the heat is. So, and I just, when you have good technique, you know where to throw your rope ahead of time before you're done, maybe pulling your first, point, and then you can just gracefully walk to the next one and grab another one instead of, sweating it, deep breathing, like, oh my God, and then fumbling with everything and then going to the next. We did like a stagehand Olympics, putting on my harness, and it wasn't fair. I was competing against a bunch of new people, but I won because I was slow and I moved with an intention, and I got my harness on, no problem, fairly quickly. And everyone else was like, oh my gosh, oh, this clip, oh, this, and they were struggling. And I think that, if you have that in your mind and you think ahead and, use your strengths, like my legs and stuff, and keep in shape, on your time off. And that really helps a lot.
Strength is in the legs, absolutely, and know your body. Mel, tell us a story or two and let us know, like, how do you improve your climbing strength and agility?
Normally, not during the pandemic so much, but normally I'm in the gym at least 3 times a week, if not more. And I'm working on the core, the upper body, and my legs because, we know in this industry and with rigging, shoulders are like the first thing to go out on a lot of people. I know a few riggers that have had shoulder surgery, and some of them are no longer doing rigging anymore because of the surgeries they've had. They've just completely destroyed their shoulders. So I focus on, exercising those muscles while I'm in the gym and strengthening them, and then trying to figure out other ways not to use them as much. But that's pretty much what I do. And also just like staying hydrated and making sure you've got enough food in your system before you go out there and you start climbing around up there. Because if you don't have any nutrition in your body and you're out there and it's hot, you're sweating, you're not going to last very long.
I think that's a point no one talks about, is how you're fueling your body. It's not just going out to the roach coach and grabbing, a burger and fries and whatever on your time off. It's about how you were ingesting that and what that does to your body. I think that's incredibly important.
Oh, definitely. I have a certain protein pack that I put together for myself, especially when I know what I'm going into. I know there are some gigs where I'm like, oh, there's 6 points. I can eat a banana, and a PB&J and I'll be fine, or even, a couple boiled eggs. But there are some gigs where I'm like, okay, this is going to be 14 hours of going up and down and pulling points. So I need to make sure I have enough food for the day. I have to plan my breakfast and my snacks during break and my lunch to make sure that I have enough fuel for the whole day. Yeah, and some people don't think about that. I've worked with plenty of people who, by the time the first break comes around, they're like, I'm tired, I'm wiped out, like I'm dragging ass. And it's like, did you eat enough before you started the shift? Are you staying hydrated? And people don't think about that.
Yeah, hydration is incredibly important when you're not, I mean, if you're just sweating it all out and you're basically not going to the bathroom after drinking so much, you're dehydrated. Mel, what kind of snacks, or how do you approach your nutrition, especially if you're working long days?
I definitely keep a lot of protein bars. I do like to have jerky sometimes because if I'm working outdoors and it's really hot, I like the salt. I can't do a lot of salt, so just a little bit. Even those tiny little packs of the plain classic potato chips, even that's just enough to help me. But definitely, I honestly, it's like bananas, apples, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and hard-boiled eggs, and a lot of protein bars.
Yeah, a lot of protein, a little bit of salt to replenish your electrolytes. Sydney, talk to us about how you approach climbing strength and agility.
So hold on. You're telling me that my 3 to 5 Red Bulls in one day because I have issues with functioning as a normal person with energy levels is not healthy? Red Bull, I thought that Red Bull was like water.
This is not sponsored by Red Bull. Sorry, Sydney. We're crushing your dreams here.
I would kill. You know what? If Riggers were ever to get sponsored, I would totally sell my lack of soul for a Red Bull sponsorship. I'm
going to sell mine to Powerade. That's my go-to when I'm when it's a hot day and I'm getting dehydrated. I want to replenish the sugars and the electrolytes. My go-to is Powerade, but I probably don't suffer from the same amount of lack of energy or sleep as you do. Do you have insomnia?
No, I have just general health energy issues that sometimes I just get as much sleep as humanly possible, and yet I still need copious amounts of caffeine to function. Go figure. So I think I mentioned before, I am actually not a climber as of yet. I got my Sprat training to be able to do things safely and learn how to do them. But at least Union in Vegas isn't a lot of climbing, and I haven't done much rigging that is outside of Union. Honestly, I got my Sprat training so that if I'm ever doing automation production and there's something that is broken in the air, that ideally, if they allow me to, I can heave-ho myself up there to fix it myself instead of having the local rope access person and have to explain to them what's wrong. That's honestly the reason that I got my Sprat. But I'm digressing. I have 0 arm strength at all.
No, you're not allowed to say that. Katrina said you are not allowed to say that anymore. You cannot.
No, I'm not saying I'm weak. I'm just saying my strength is not in my arms. I have very strong legs. I can out pull some men if I do it smartly and actually squat into it and just use a squat. But I think my biggest trick for strength is the whole work smarter, not harder, and not using strength at all, because a lot of our rigging is lift rigging.
Mm-hmm.
And a specific instance I can think of was an inverted 1-ton, and the two high riggers, up riggers, bucket riggers, were me and this large dude in our local that anybody is watching from the local will know exactly who I'm talking about, that does strongman competitions. And of course, we're all like doing the same things. And I'm thinking at the end, he's going to be like, yeah, let me offer to help her out and do that invert 1-ton in the center. That's in her section she's supposed to do. Sure enough, he volunteered that. I was like, no, I'm fine. I got this. And he gives me the weirdest look like, how do you have the inverted 1-ton? Well, if the trim height's not so much of an issue and I can make the bridle deep enough, I can just leave the motor in my lift and sit my happy little butt down as I drive the bridle into the lift.
There you go.
Never actually use my strength, flip it over, and then just lower my basket straight down so the motor floats out. And that is pretty much my idea for anything that I have to do bucket rigging. And also the Petzl, they're yellow. The Petzl, they're like ascender helpers.
Oh, the traction?
Yes, the protraction. The Petzl protraction is a big help if you're hanging anything that's supposed to be at eye level, is locking it off and just using a Petzl protraction. Like, my big thing is using tools.
Yeah.
And if I've got a lift, I am using the lift in a safe way, but I am 100% just driving the lift, or I'm just using the lift to help take a little bit of tension off while I undo it and then kick it down out of the lift. And it's great. Like, my big thing is use the tools that you have in a safe way, and you don't have to worry about not being as strong as the guys and not having the strength.
Well, the lift is a really good tool to use, absolutely. And like you said, if trim height's not an issue, that's a good technique. Anybody can use that technique, right? Because some of us, if we're on those jobs where it's taking 8 hours, 10 hours, 16 hours, and we're just doing pull after pull, lift after lift, you kind of want to preserve your body, you want to preserve your muscles, you want to preserve your shoulders, right? So I think in almost all instances, if you can work smarter, do that, right? Because we don't want to damage our rotator cuffs. We don't want to have lower back pain. We don't, we want to have strong bodies later on in life, right? So be kind to your body and work smarter, not harder. I'll jump in and say, when I'm doing pulls, I think if I'm lifting like any chain about 60 feet, 70 feet up or so, that's pretty much a threshold for me. And then I'm using less back strength and less back, less core, less arm. And I start to rely more on my legs. So at that point, at that 60, 70 foot mark, if I have to go up another 10 or 20 feet, 10 feet really, I have to start using my thigh muscles to squat, pull up with my legs, reposition my hands, squat, pull up. And that's a technique that I use. And it's a technique I know other women use. So Sydney will be right back. So yeah, and some of you guys have mentioned you train at the gym. I like back workouts. Back workouts are my favorite. I love the overhand bar and pulling it down and working on it this way, as well as like doing rows, weighted rows. Oh my gosh. I think back day is my favorite day. It's not leg day. Or shoulders day. I love having boulder shoulders. So anytime I'm doing like any presses, makes me feel pretty strong. So that's like my strategy in the gym when I'm building strength. What do you guys think? Oh, look at that kid. Lauren, do you ever use your kids as like weights?
Oh,
like bicep curls?
I will not. I just said to myself today that the big one, as they walk by, has like reached 60 pounds. And I was like, yeah, when I carry you from the car into the house, like up another set of stairs, does that count as like a full sandbag's worth?
Yeah.
That's decent.
Yeah. Oh, and Sydney, and you just got through your rope access training, and a lot of rope access, if you see people doing it for the first time, often you'll see people struggle with pulling themselves up because they're using too much arm. And really, you want to rely more on your legs to push down. You want to push into that foot strap and then tighten your core to prop yourself up, get yourself up the rope. It's less about bicep strength. And if you do rely on your biceps too much, you're going to tire out on the ropes way too fast. So I often hear guys say that women tend to be I don't know that women are better climbers. I think maybe we catch on faster because we are, we tend to have more muscle mass in the legs. So our legs are our powerhouses more so than our upper bodies. So it just clicks for us faster. How was that training with you, Sydney? Did you see anybody like struggle to hold themselves upright?
So I think I might have mentioned in the last session, like, I purposefully went with Brian because I knew that he worked well with women. There was only 2 people in my class. It was me and a non-industry guy who does, I think he's a military contractor. He's not for the military, but a civilian contractor with the military. And it was just us 2. He actually was renewing his level 1, so he didn't really struggle bus. I struggle bus trying to figure out how to use my body. And anybody that's curious, I stole the term struggle bus from one of the Mamma Mia's head of wardrobes. It's one of my new favorite terms, is struggle bus. But yeah, it was difficult trying to figure out how to move my body because I was having to use like my legs in a way that was familiar now that I think about it, but in the way I was having to stand up on practically air. And I think my biggest issue personally was because I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I fully acknowledge I do not have upper arm strength at the moment. And my biggest issue was whenever I'd have to like pop out of my ascender and switch to a descender.
Yeah.
I'd have to like actually pop up and lock my arm. And I had issues with the arm lock because I'm not secure in my arm strength. And I do acknowledge that you need leg strength for that. But the fact is that I'm not used to using my arms in an above head athletic way, that it was hard for me to mentally lock it.
So I have a different technique for that actually. When I'm popping out of like popping the rope out of the ascender to switch onto the ID, I don't hold my arm way up here. I grab the hand ascender, I get myself up and I just wrap my hand around the rope and I just kind of give it a 90-degree lock like this. And that just happens to be what works best for me. I'm not using like too much grip strength. I'm just like locking it. I feel like I'm not pulling myself. I'm just kind of like locking myself into position. And that tends to, I find that I don't tire out as quickly when I pop, lock, and drop it, I guess.
I will definitely try that. I'm going to try to sit in on one of the like free practice workshops that they're having in a couple of months. So I'm going to give that a shot then. It's just, that was my biggest difficulty, was figuring out how to use my body. But I guess in a benefit, this is going to sound really weird, it was helpful being a woman with 0 to no arm strength at that point, because unlike guys who I have been told that have like had to quit partway into the week, like I lasted the entire week, took it, passed it, it was awesome. But like, unlike the dudes who tire out after a day or two because they use their arms, that wasn't an option for me. Like that was never a consideration.
Was the deviation a harder maneuver for you?
No, passing the knot was the hardest maneuver.
Oh,
for me.
okay.
Like so because the whole like there was little wiggle room after the knot. That was the biggest issue for me, was actually passing a knot.
So I asked that because the deviation is one of the harder maneuvers for me when I first started doing rope access, and I had a hard time at first, like pulling myself in close enough to get the rope out of the carabiner that was doing the deviation. So, you know, I have a series of steps that I go through so that I'm not like, and if you're pulling your whole body toward a carabiner and then you have to unlock it and get the ropes out, that's too much that's happening while your bicep is in contraction. So I like to prep everything beforehand, open the carabiner gate, and then I actually pull not just towards me, but like down and towards me, and then I get the ropes out. So it's just, and it's hard. It's honestly difficult to explain over a live stream, right? Because I'm not seeing it, I'm not like feeling it. So, oh my gosh. So now I have to go on ropes and say, okay, standard deviation, what's an easier way to do this? Okay, passing the knot, what's an easier way to use all my muscles in the smartest way so that I'm not tiring myself out? So call to action, everybody. We got to make these videos happen.
I know that this is going on a little bit, but I have to mention this. The reason that the knot pass was so difficult for me was there was no way for me to quote unquote cheat it, which in reality, like if you're on a job site, especially considering mine will never, I will fully acknowledge, I will never use this for a non-entertainment aspect ever. There's no want in my body to do that. So ideally, anytime that I use this, I'm going to have things like truss around me. Like that is probably what I'm going to be using is truss and building. Like I'm not going to be out on a cell tower doing things. I say that because specifically a big thing that Brian taught was like using your environment. I don't remember if he explicitly told me to do this. I don't think he did. The way that the deviation is done at the CM studio, the CM workshop, it's all set up on a freestanding truss rig, which means the deviation is set up on a truss rig. And I don't know if this would apply to any of the short-term members of this live stream, but my legs are long enough where I could heave-ho myself to get in the truss and lock my legs. So that's actually why I didn't have a single issue with the standard deviation. Once I figured that out, how to, before that it was horrible, but once I figured out how to do the standard deviation, I would go and lock out my legs, lean back, switch it out, and then unlock my legs and everything's fine. But because I actually would brace myself against the building, so it was great. I figured out, I did use my arms a little bit, but it taught me more so that if I can use my legs and basically like attach like a monkey onto the truss or lock onto something, I'm great. Like the second you let me use my legs and let me lock myself with my legs, I am fantastic. And that's actually a big reason why the standard deviation didn't really give me a problem once I figured out that I could just hook my feet in there.
Lauren, you look like you had a comment. Lauren.
Sorry, I lost my mouse for a second. Yeah, I'm of the shorter variety. Like, no, just nope, not gonna happen for me.
I feel like that would only work if your legs are ginormous enough that you can actually reach the wall while on standard deviation.
Yeah, Renee, Mel, do you guys have rope access experience, right?
Renee does. Renee does.
Renee, what do you think about like using these little minutia techniques to help with some of these maneuvers?
It's basically whatever works.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. You get it done. You figure it out.
Just get it done. Just get it done. Who cares how it gets done? As long as it gets done.
Yeah.
Safely.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, Sydney, I'm glad you were able to like use your environment to your advantage and figure out what works best for you.
That's a huge thing I want to say too. I mean,
I love this. Look at this comment, you guys, my heroes. Oh, well, hello. That's super cute.
That's our blonde beauty.
And Julian says, agree, my Alrata assessor set up a different style of double deviation than we were trained on, which didn't help. A different style of double than we were trained on. Oh, I see. It kind of, the assessor kind of gave you a challenge there. I see. Yeah, it's actually really incredible, like all the minutia involved in rigging and rope access, and I have instructor experience, so when I'm thinking with my instructor hat on, it's just a different way of thinking because I could tell you, I could suggest something to you, but you may not interpret it the way that I meant it. And so then you've got someone in the air who's like struggling because they're like, I don't understand what you need from me. And it's like, oh gosh. And so again, it's like super difficult, like explaining some of these things on a live stream. And I think we need to make these videos happen.
Can I say, like,
Absolutely, you can say.
imagine hanging from a building, however high up, and you've got a giant drill, and you got to drill into steel. So what's happening? You're pushing into something,
Mm-hmm.
pushing you out.
Oh yeah.
And you've got to figure out how to use your body to push in, and it's different for everyone. It's definitely a puzzle.
I gotta hear, how did you solve that puzzle? Because that was oddly specific.
I have really good people I work around, and I was luckily on a corner, so I wrapped my leg kind of around the corner and got my toe like in some of the brick.
Yeah.
And
there
just
you go. Okay.
my body up. So you're pushing away, but you're pulling in.
Yeah.
And I did it. But
wow.
I mean, that's true for anyone who's in that situation.
Yeah. And for anybody watching this, if you've got questions or you're not sure what your capabilities are, give me a call, give us a call, because I am happy to hype you up and say, look, Sydney, you do have upper body strength. You can do this. You may need to develop your upper body strength, but that doesn't mean you can't get stronger.
Oh,
Girl, I'm sorry. I had to call you out. I had to call you out so strong.
Hold on. I need to be specific here. Whenever, and this is probably like a mindset I personally believe that everybody should have, and I don't express it well enough. Whenever I say I can't do something or I don't have something, like, I don't mean as in the long term. I mean, I feel as if it's very healthy to acknowledge in the moment if you can't or unable to do something, but that does not mean it extends to the future. I fully acknowledge right now that if you were to throw me on a gig and only be able to use upper arm strength, I would fail miserably if it was in this moment. But you know what? In a couple of months, if I worked at it, yeah, I'd be great. I'd be fine. But I acknowledge my lackings in this moment. And I feel like it's healthy to acknowledge what you need to work on at the moment, what you're not good at.
I think
that's doing a push-up.
I think there is humility, and it's humbling to be able to say, like, what you're not capable of doing in the moment. And it's the same for, like, hey, do you know how to use this drill press? I don't. Can you train me? That's it. I don't, but can you teach me?
No, and I'm willing to.
Yeah, Awesome, guys. Yes, I can see the chat coming in from Facebook. I can see the chats coming in from YouTube. Welcome, you guys. Let's move on to our next topic, which is women in leadership roles. Lauren, you've got a lot of experience with this.
I do. I find myself very lucky to have stumbled into rigging when I did, because I was able to come into a company who is the primary person who was dealing with the rigging installation portion of the company was a woman. So I was able to learn from her one-on-one, and we shared an office for the better part of 8 years. So we were together a lot. And it was great to see where she had come from. She had come more from a ground rigger all the way up, as I come from a stage management background into rigging. So that's incredibly important. I think for me, I thrive on seeing other women excel in the workplace. As I see Renee and Mel and Sydney and Inger and Maria and Katrina, like, I love to see that, and I thrive on seeing everybody else being great at what they do. That's what attracts me to this industry, that what makes me want to be a rigger, continue to do this every day. So I think it's up to us to see each other. It's not always the best for us to have that visibility. Sometimes there are a lot of different screens in front of what we're doing before we get to a woman who is in a leadership role. So I think when we find those women, the self-promote is incredibly helpful.
How do you self-promote?
I'm very bad at it. In fact, I'm quite terrible. I think that as I'm getting older, I'm better at saying I do this well. For instance, this is one of those times where I'm like, I was a little hesitant at first because I am an installation rigger, a permanent install rigger. I'm not a high rigger or an arena rigger, and I felt a little bit intimidated. But it's important for us to have representation of all kinds all the time. So just getting up there and saying yes to opportunities.
I know Mel is super intimidating. Mel, what's your experience in leadership roles?
I don't know. I somehow seem to gravitate toward leadership roles, even when I've taken a step back. And I think it's just my personality, just the way that I am when I'm on site with people. I just end up in leadership roles quite often.
How do you handle conflict on the job site?
I always try to just deflate the situation. You got to listen to everybody's side,
Yeah.
You kind of.
Do you have any techniques or any do's and don'ts when you're trying to deflate a situation?
Definitely screaming and yelling at people, I find, does not work well. Mm-hmm. Just watching other people, I just don't think it's necessary. If somebody approaches me and they're very high strung and they're raising their voice, I let them speak first, because sometimes somebody, they need that to just like, duh.
They just need to feel heard.
Yeah. And then I just try to calm them down and be like, all right, let's talk about this. Let's get to the root of the situation. Like, is this something that we can work on together? You just got to calm it down as best as you can without using those words. Don't tell somebody to calm down because they need to have that moment to just be angry. Mm-hmm. You can't force them to just shut up. It's like, okay, say what you got to say, be angry, but if they're really upset and they need to yell, take them outside, pull them to the loading dock. Like, let's take this away from, the clients. Let's take this away from the crew. Mm-hmm. Let's go over here and let's talk about it.
Yeah, that's important.
Luckily in rigging, as high strung as our job can be, I haven't really had to deal with anything like that. It's usually in other departments. I think because we do such a high strung thing, it's like most of the people know, it's like we all need to calm down. We all need to take a breath. Mm-hmm. And quite often if we see an issue, unless it's an immediate issue where we have to yell, stop, everybody exit the room, we have to fix this. It's more of a, hey, let's go over here and talk real quick about this situation. And then we just handle it quietly. We don't need to, make the whole room aware of a situation and start having people freak out that don't understand what's going on.
High strung, no pun intended.
Thanks, James.
Clever. Yeah, but even when we're in that moment where we have to yell stop, we're still, after that stop moment, pausing. Why did we yell stop? What's going on? Okay. Exactly. Take a moment, assess the situation, then take care of what needs to be taken care of. So even in that, even in that moment, we're still pausing and reassessing. And that's super important. When you take someone aside, how do you do that without making them feel like they're ostracized from the group? Like, when you're in high school and the principal walks in, I need to talk to you. Ooh, you're in trouble.
I'm not loud about it.
Yeah, not loud. Just, hey, can I talk to you for a second?
I just walk up to him. Usually you're in a room that's loud enough that people are so focused on what they're doing outside that you can easily just walk up to somebody and say, hey, whatever, let's go over here real quick, And you see that a lot with riggers anyways. You see them walk up to each other, do a head nod, or they walk off, or they send a text message, hey, meet me over here. You just keep it very simple and quiet. You know,
Gotcha.
you just don't want to alert the whole room to something that isn't necessary for everybody to be involved in. The last thing you need is other people from other departments telling you how to do your job.
Yeah. Or how to handle your crew or how to handle your crew's conflict.
Exactly. You know,
It's like
so
telling a parent how to parent their kids.
yeah, you're going to aggravate them.
Renee, how about you? What's been your experience in leadership roles?
Well, I think I've learned quite a bit from Mel. Sometimes I work under her, and I think being calm, cool, and collected is very key. I see that when it comes to women in leadership roles, that we can kind of see the whole picture, maybe a little better. No offense to men, but maybe a little better than men in the respect that we know how to organize it and dish it out evenly to everyone better where it comes together. I don't know how many times I've we're good. We're organized. We can multitask in ways that, guys can't. Guys do a good job too, but, and especially
It's a strength. It's more of a strength. Like guys, their strength is definitely in their upper body. Ours is in our lower body. We tend to see the bigger picture, maybe more clearer or faster or more efficiently.
Well,
so
they
how do you
picture, but I mean, they just like, it's just kind of sometimes maybe a little harder to compartmentalize the different things to come together, like a symphony,
Yeah. How do you communicate? How do you communicate and coordinate that?
Well, it's your groups of people, and you kind of just talk to everyone what needs to be done, and how you'd like the different parts to happen, and then who wants what part, who wants to take what part in the group, and as a team effort. And so people will just naturally fall into, what they want to do, instead of like, I want you to do this. And they're like, I don't want to do that, or things like that. I mean, and they can lead themselves, really. People can lead themselves. They go and they do what they need to do, but you're just kind of the person to maintain the page that everyone's on. So, yeah.
Sydney, any tips or advice when it comes to being in a leadership role, or when it comes to working your way up to a leadership role?
So yeah, definitely. I have most definitely experience-wise the baby out of the group. So I haven't had a ton of leadership experience. Like I've occasionally been like lead of a booth, only high rigger, been on like a little bit on the road, white gloved, like very little. But as much as I hate to say this, and I hate this, and
Are we gonna hate it?
Maybe. It's accepting that not everybody is going to be okay with a woman in a leadership role. And I have talked about this a lot with friends of mine, people that I'm close to, and acknowledging when you should fight for people to accept that and when you just need to get the show up. I very clearly remember the first time I was on the road, assistant carpenter with my head carpenter who was a man, and anybody who has ever met me and worked with me will tell you that I can sometimes be like the beautiful mind of spotting things that are wrong with rigging. Like I can be going to lunch in a convention center and see something out of the corner of my eye that's not my booth and see something wrong. Or like I'll see a chain start to run out of a bag on a show that's not mine before anybody else notices, and I'll call stop from like way far away. The problem is locals that don't know me, people that don't know me, aren't going to be as accepting to the fact that I will be able to point out every single thing that is incorrect. And they will not, even if it's the exact same way that a man would say it, they might not accept it as well because I'm just young female. you just think you're so smart because you have your ETCP. You just think you're so smart because you're this Vegas rigger. And not
I've
just
gotten that too.
Yeah. And as much as I hate to admit this, having a go-between, as much as I hate it, and I hate it so much. If it's not your home and these are not your normal people and you just need to get the show up, accepting the fact that you might just need a go-between. You might just need that man, as much as you hate to do that, in order to get the show up and have less controversy, because you're not going to be dealing with these people on a daily basis. You're going to have to go turn to the guy and go, hey, can you go tell such and such to do this? Because they're going to take it better from you. And this is not my home. And in the 6 hours that we have a load in is not my time to teach them about misogyny. And I hate it. And on the other side, something that I always completely hate, I feel like, especially me, just me personally being a 6 foot tall ginger, who is on the younger side of life.
I can't wrap my hand around the fact that you're 6 foot tall. I always forget that.
Technically 5'10", but yeah, I just say 6 foot. It's easier. If I'm wearing my Doc Martens, it's 6 foot. But like this huge ginger that's younger and has a big personality. Men specifically tend to interact better if I put on this really happy personality. Like, okay, guys, so we're going to do this loadout, and I'm going to need this group of people to go over here and this group of people to go over there, and lots of hand talking, kind of like I'm a stewardess, but they tend to react way better to that.
I have a question. Has anybody else had to use that tactic? I'm trying to think if I've ever used that tactic.
I feel like it might be specific for me because I am so large and so naturally intimidating that if I almost create a caricature of myself, I tend to be received better, because otherwise I could be talking to you like this, and pardon my language, but a guy would think that I'm being a raging bitch because I'm like, hey, I'm going to need you to rehang that point. It's a little bit off. As opposed to me being the stereotypical female, they're going to respond a lot better because they're not going to associate that with being a bitch. If I hop up the register and add in the energy, apparently I'm nicer.
I'm a people pleaser. I'm just now, like, this year realizing that I am a people pleaser, and so I think I put too much thought into how I'm speaking or how I'm, wow. Now I have my dad's head in my I have my dad's voice in my brain right now, because he said just before this live stream, watch your ums, watch your likes, and I just did all of those things just now. So now I'm totally derailed. I'm a people pleaser, and I put too much thought into how I'm communicating. And I think thinking about how you communicate, how you are instructing your crew, how you're handling conflict, how you're doing anything, how you're communicating, whether with verbs, words, or your body, it's all very important. But if you're putting too much thought into it and you put too much emphasis on how people are going to receive it, you might be bordering the people pleaser realm. And so I don't think I've ever had to be a different person per se, but I can relate to a certain extent with you, Sydney, because I've been told that I'm cocky. I've been told that I'm a know-it-all. Nobody likes a know-it-all, and you don't point out what's wrong to me. And when we are pointing out things that's wrong, you don't want to walk up to someone and be like, "That's wrong, you idiot," or you don't want to imply that with your voice, with your tone, or how you're saying it. But I mean, I don't know, guys. Here, help me out here, because this is what I struggle with, is how do I present what's wrong, or not just what's wrong, but here's a solution for what I see as wrong. Renee, Mel, Lauren, do you have any stories where you've had to think about, like, okay, how am I going to present this to the group? How am I going to how am I going to communicate this, and how am I going to come across by communicating that?
I'm a very technical person at work. Not to say that I don't get along with the people that I work with, because the majority of them I do, but simply stating that I am not here to be a people pleaser. When we go in for a job, we're there to do the job. And if you feel that I need to smile and talk softly just to make you feel better about doing your fucking job, then maybe you shouldn't be there. And I'm very much like, if somebody wants to argue with me at work, I'm like, all right, is your problem with me? Is your problem with what we're doing? Like, what is the issue? Let's get to that. And if your problem is just simply that you don't want to be underneath a woman, then you're in the wrong industry, because there are many women in this industry who are in leadership positions. Figure it out.
Bravo. I love it. People often say you have to have a thick skin in order to be in rigging, but I think having a thick skin means demanding respect. Like, hey, that might offend me, or I may not appreciate doing this, that, or the other. And it's like, I'm not sensitive. I have a thick skin. I have thick skin enough to be ridiculed for asking for decency, right? And just like Mel said, what's the issue here? Is your issue with me personally? Is it with what we're doing, how we're solving this problem? Do you need to be here if your issue is with the fact that I'm a woman in a leadership position? Tyler says that's pro Mel. Agreed.
Thanks, Tyler. If you're put in a leadership position, okay, if somebody put you in that position, it's because they see that you have those skills and qualities that they're looking for. And you need to be reminded of that. You need to just know that there's somebody who sees that in you, and you need to see it in yourself. I don't go to work looking for an argument. I don't go to work looking to deal with other people's crap. I'm going to do a job. That's what we're all there for. So I would maybe point that out.
I would never, the whole I would never do that with people who I know, or people that I know I will be working with for a long period of time. I can't remember who told me this, but somebody pointed out something very important, that while I do want to be the savior for all women and protect the women and encourage, I call myself an accidental feminist. While I want to do all of those things, it's acknowledging that sometimes you have to not do those things in order to get things done in the moment. I would never do that.
Choose your battles.
Yeah, I would never do that with people that I'm going to be with for long periods of time, that I feel like I can form that sort of relationship with. But sometimes it's the point where you're I'm probably never going to see these people again, or I'm not going to see them for 5 years. Yeah. And if I pick this battle now, I might have a situation where we're at hour 4 and I still need my points hanged, but my riggers have decided to take a smoke break for the 4th time, because I'm, again, sorry for the language, I'm that bitch that thinks that they can tell them what to do, even though technically I am their lead, but I'm the bitch that thinks I know better than them and can tell them what to do. And it's trying not to be that person, and these people that I need to do a good job for 8 hours before I don't see them for an eternity.
Change certainly, yeah. Change doesn't happen overnight, and you just have to pick and choose your battles. And I think we're trending in the right direction, and there's much work to be done. And then we're only talking about women in rigging, and that's not to discredit any of the other issues that other groups may have, that other communities maybe have their own challenges and struggles. So. This is just one little piece in the world, right? And I don't mean to discredit anyone else's experiences. So yeah, change doesn't happen overnight. And you're right, Sydney, we got to pick and choose our battles, and learn when the appropriate times are to bring up these discussions, such as in this live stream. Let's move on to a topic that I've honestly been looking forward to, because I think it's such an important topic. I don't even know what question to start with this one, other than, what do you have to say about this? I'm just going to leave it that open-ended, actually. What do you guys have to say about women on women hate?
I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. I've experienced it. Yeah.
I have strong feelings in both ways.
Yeah. So, I'll share that early in my career, I've received not a lot. I think maybe on 3 separate occasions, my phone has blown up with messages from a rigger's wife or girlfriend, calling me all kinds of names, saying I'm a homewrecker, I'm a bitch, this, that, or the other. And in none of those instances had I ever had any interest in that person. They were a coworker. In one instance, I was bouldering with a coworker of mine because I wanted to learn about rock climbing. I wanted to learn about bouldering. That was his hobby. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Can you teach me? And about halfway through our day, he's on his phone and he says, oh, it's my girlfriend, wife. I don't remember what they were at the time, but she's asking where I am, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I'm going to tell her that it's you, me, and so-and-so being a dude's name. And I go, but so-and-so's not with us. And he goes, I know, but she'll freak out if it's just us. And I'm like, that's rude. That's putting me in a really awkward position. I don't know what your relationship is like. I don't know anything about your history with this person. And why would you do that to me? I don't want to sneak around. I don't want to be sneaky. Why are you being sneaky to your partner? And in hindsight, if I could do that day all over again, when that moment happened, I would have been like, okay, well, we're done hanging out here. There's clearly something going on with your relationship. I have zero interest in continuing on with this day. I'm gonna drive you home now, and I guess we don't get to be friends. Like I would have just walked away from that situation, but I didn't. I didn't know what to do. And so we continued bouldering, and then at the end of the day, dropped him off, and I happened to be on my way to a date, like an actual date with me. And that's when my phone blew up, and things like that have happened multiple times, and to me, it's sad, right? It's the jealousy that happens is sad. Have you guys ever experienced any kind of jealousy like that? I know jealousy shows up in other forms too, such as a woman being on a crew and her not wanting other women on that crew. So, Lauren.
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
My poor mouth goes to sleep and then I lose it. I think that, as I said before, I was very lucky to start the industry underneath a woman, so I took a lot for granted in that. And so later on in my career, I think I held other women to such a standard that it was hard for me to see someone that needed to be mentored as someone that needed to be mentored versus someone that just didn't understand. So there was a portion of my career where what I expected out of fellow women was too high. I needed to step back and say, like, not everyone was trained the same way that I was, that I needed to look at this situation and afford another woman an opportunity to learn like I was afforded versus setting an expectation that was just unrealistic.
Mm-hmm. Before we continue, Tyler says men have a bro code that works most of the time. Why don't more women apply this with each other? Tyler, I would love to hear examples of what this bro code is. And then I would also like to I'm wondering, what is this bro code in the story that I just told where the guy decided to not tell his partner that he was bouldering with me, another woman, and that it was platonic and there was no sexual interest, no interest like that at all. We were just two coworkers, spending time with each other on our off time. And he decided to lie to his partner. And again, in hindsight, I should have been like, we're not hanging out anymore. We're done. Like this, I do not want to be part of that. What bro code is that? You know what I mean? So I think behavior like that is part of this really complicated issue that is women on women hate, right? When men are sneaky, when they're sneaking around and they're not being honest with their partners, then their partners are going to continue to not see their male partner as an issue. They're going to see the other woman as the issue. right? And the other woman may not always be the issue because she may not know what the state of the relationship is. You know, there's so many stories where guys are married, they take their ring off, and then they go to a bar and flirt with other girls there. Like, what bro code is that, right? So again, I think behavior like that kind of contributes to the women on women hate issue. I think another thing that contributes to women on women hate is us constantly comparing ourselves to each other. Or, you know, there's a post that's gone viral recently. It's comparing, I think, Kendall Jenner with Alyssa Carson. I think Carson's her last name. She's been doing all of these science camps, and her goal is to be the first astronaut on Mars. She wants to set foot there. Like, that is her goal. And she's doing all that she can as a 19, 20-year-old. I think she's 20. I don't know if she's 21 quite yet, but she's doing all that she can, and she's doing her self-promotion like Lauren suggested we do. And her image is compared to Kendall Jenner, who is in, I guess, a bikini or lingerie, and she's just posing in front of a mirror, and you know, they're degrading one and uplifting the other. And it's like, you know, you can have your issue with Kendall Jenner or the Kardashians. Like, I don't care, but why do you have to put the photos together? Why can't they be two separate posts? So comparison, I think, is an issue that contributes to women on women hate. I think I'm rambling. Renee, I know you've got to go soon, so I would love to hear everything you have to say about this topic.
Well, I've had experience, and not really necessarily in rigging, but, you know, in this industry. I had a girlfriend. She was close. We worked together. She was above me, younger than me. I treated her with respect. I listened to what she wanted. But yes, there was still that insecurity, and she was throwing me under the bus left and right. And it really hurt me deeply. I even confronted her about it, and she kind of swept it under the rug and danced around the subject. And, you know, we're no longer friends. I don't trust her on a work basis. Now it seems like to me, when I'm going to be at work with her, that I need to just maintain to myself and watch out for myself. And I mean, I think that's unfortunate because I reach out to the women who reach out to me, you know, and they want to know anything. You know, I'm a part of some of your other Facebook groups, you know, and I've had women I've never met ask me, you know, I'm going to be moving to Texas. I'm going to, you know, do rope access. I don't really know anybody. And I'm like, well, if I can help you, I know people. I could call around and help you out, you know, I mean, to get a job or whatever it is. I mean, I'm always more than willing to give out information and help people, but not for the purpose of, you know, stamping all over me. And, you know, and then on another side, I know a girl that I'm friends with. And sometimes when we get together, the only thing that I hear about is like all of the other women's defaults, you know, like what's wrong with them. And sometimes I'll stand up against it. This person's kind of shown themselves that no matter kind of what I say, that's just how it's going to roll with them. And so then I know it's a losing battle in a respect. And I find that that person has a lot of good qualities and things that I can learn from also, you know, as a coworker and a friend. But I think it's kind of sad sometimes, you know, to hear that because, yeah, we should all be together. And I think necessarily like, I think what Tyler was trying to say basically was like, as far as bro code is concerned, is like, why don't we stick together as women more?
Mm-hmm.
But I
added, it's basically a base level of respect. You do you, I'll do me. We stay out of each other's way.
Yeah. And then also, like, like, why don't we uplift each other? Why don't we stick up for each other? Why don't we, work together? But then again, here I've got like Sydney and Lauren. And I think, some of the past people who have been on here who don't have the opportunity to work with a lot of women anyway. Right. So, I mean, Mel and I, we come from a different world. We're surrounded. Inger, we had mentioned earlier, we're around her all the time. We get to work with her. And there are several other women I could name in this area here that, we're just a little more unique and lucky to be able to do that. So I guess that's what I have to say on that.
Yeah. We have Roy Bickle in the house. If you are on the job, do the job and always respect others. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to lie. Whatever moment, I'm not going to be specific. I've had moments where a woman has been in the same space as me, and then I react internally with jealousy. And that's the initial reaction. And then the next thought is, but why? Why are you jealous? Why are you having any icky feeling at all just because she's occupying the same space as you? This isn't what you're about. Get that thought out of your head. Like, why? And I think that sort of thinking where you initially react with jealousy, it wouldn't surprise me if that was something that was taught to girls at a very young age, is to react with jealousy. I am not the subject matter expert on that. It's just a hypothesis that I have. So if anybody has any studies they want to send our way, please do. Tansy says, I think some of it is denied internalized misogyny. Just because a woman is a woman doesn't mean she can't be a misogynist. Very true. I'm glad you brought this up. Women have been brought up to believe that women are lesser. Women who have broken through may feel that they are one of the guys, therefore they're better, and no other woman could possibly measure up to all her hard work that she's gone through. Therefore, all other women are perceived as lesser. And I've seen this and I've experienced it with myself. I am coming to term, damn 200 character limit. Tansy, I'm so glad you brought all that up. I've experienced that myself, and I find in my later 20s, I'm unlearning some of my more internalized misogynistic thoughts that pop up. Does anybody on this panel have experience with that? I swear, I hope I'm not the only one. Tansy's got me. Go ahead, Mel.
I think when I was younger, I grew up around a lot of guys. My older brother and I are a year apart. And of course, I wanted to be like him and hang with all of his friends. And you pick up on those things of like how they talk and treat women. And I didn't wear dresses. I didn't play with dolls. And I always felt more connected to the guys. And I picked up on a lot of that, a lot of how they acted and talked. It wasn't until I got, I don't know, maybe like my late teens, early 20s is when I started to be like, what am I doing? I'm a female. I should, connect with more females. You can't really connect with men. You can't talk to men about a lot of things when it comes to, the female body and other things that you experience, And let's be honest, men have done me wrong in so many ways. It's like, why would I side with that? I need to side with myself. I need to side with, good people, basically. And so I had to do this whole, I had to reprogram my mind and just how I thought and how I treated people. And I've come to this point in my life where I'm like, it doesn't matter, it's like male, female, non-binary, whatever the fuck you want to be. There are good people and bad people everywhere. And it doesn't matter what sex you are. You just got to see it for what it is.
I want to point out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm locked on the word you used, reprogrammed. You reprogrammed your mind. And as we're talking about this, it's very much a progression that happens, and it can happen for years for some people, is this reprogramming of getting rid of the internalized misogyny that we somehow have been programmed to think, and to let go of that and instead choose to side with core values, what we believe in, and then attract to those people, regardless of their identity, who have those same core values. And to go back to something that Tyler asked, men have a bro code. Why don't more women apply this with each other? It's a progression that happens, and it can take years. We are literally like reprogramming the way that we think. We're reprogramming the way that we react to whatever stimulus, and just changing the way that we move forward with that. And so, again, I'm not the subject matter expert on this, but I don't know. I don't know that I don't know if men experience that same sort of misogyny for themselves, right? Like, I don't know how much reprogramming men do in order to get to a level where they just automatically respect each other. Whereas for women to automatically respect each other, we literally have to unlearn things that we were taught, and then move forward with automatically respecting each other. And I'm 26, and this is something that I've been working through myself. And even today, I still will sometimes have those misogynistic thoughts that pop into my head. And that's just like my initial internal reaction. And I go, oh, wait, no, that's not how we react. That's not what we think. That's not what we value. That's not what we believe in. And Tansy, she says, I too catch myself with these thoughts. The important thing is to constantly catch ourselves and fight it. So yeah, I love this discussion. And Mel, thank you for bringing up that you were reprogramming yourself. Sydney.
So I guess it's my turn to talk on it.
I saw you unmute yourself.
Oh,
so
I
figured you wanted to say something.
Myself. Are we still in just general misogyny, or the whole women on hate topic?
I think they're kind of intermingled, right? Women on women hate is a very, it's a complex problem, right? So I think we're just kind of picking apart the pieces of it.
I'll try to keep this shortish, because that meme that's gone around on various social medias about what's the one thing that a kidnapper would return you after 15 minutes because you won't shut up about it. Hi, that is misogyny with me. Misogyny, and also how sometimes accidentally women don't help it. So like, I'm on both ends of the spectrum. When I started out, I had some very poor experiences with women. I had very early on in Texas, I had a labor coordinator who accused me of trying to sleep with all of the road guys. Because I'd actually tried to get on the independent local with the tour guy, and it'd only be one or two people, so that I could pick their brain. Or I tried to talk to him and be like, hey, just tell me things, inform me. And whether or not the guy's intention was pure, I honestly don't care. My intention was pure. I can't do anything with them. Right. I've accepted that. But she would accuse me. She's like, oh, yeah, no, it seems like you're just trying to sleep with the men on the call. And I've also experienced, also in Texas, higher ups in a local, not either one of the main locals I started out with, one that I traveled to, where the woman I was requested, hadn't really even started rigging yet, but I was requested by a friend of a friend to be on a call that was supposed to have a lot of riggers. She ignored that. And then in front of me, while I'm basically just waiting to see if I can get put on the call, I can't remember the official term for it. Not every local's okay with it, but I'm basically waiting outside going, hey, if y'all need another person, somebody needs to leave, somebody doesn't show up, I'm here. She said in front of me how she believed, talking to somebody else, that this specific woman who was not me on a call, who had her makeup done and looked all cute and pretty, that she was only there because the guys were wanting to fuck her. Again, sorry for language, but that said that in front of me, and I'm pretty sure obviously said it as a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And like anytime my friend would walk by, like friend of a friend that requests me and be like, oh, I bet he's going to ask for you to get on the call. Like, of course, ma'am, he requested me. Yes, I know I am baby. Yes, I know I am new, but yeah, he requested me. Like,
Nobody puts you in a corner, right?
Huh?
Nobody puts you in a corner, right?
No, they don't.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's a bad reference.
I know.
But like, I've experienced that side. I've also experienced very early on. I had a guy who came in as production, who was a local one rigger, tell me that I shouldn't wear makeup on a call because wives or girlfriends could get jealous and make sure I'm never back on the call. Big surprise here. I did that for about 2 to 3 years until I started getting like serious, like good work, and people were like realizing, yes, she can do a thing. Then I started showing up in makeup, like full done makeup, hair pulled back, because that is how I'm comfortable. That is how I'm me. It definitely does get some strange looks because I look very different. Yeah, I don't get most movie references. I have the comments pulled up on the side. But like I feel more me whenever I don't look like an anemic, never sees the sunlight ginger. And I've had that problem, but I've also had the problem that we haven't really touched upon, which is I do size up. I will fully admit this. I size up other women that I have never met before on a call. Not the whole, there's another woman, I need to be the only one. Not that. Vegas specifically is horrible about this, horrible about nepotism. And there are the women that come onto the call because they want to be there, they want to work, they want to learn things. And maybe their husband, brother, cousin, tattoo artist, I don't know, brought them into the local and got them a call because they wanted to get started. And then there are the ones that get brought onto the call that don't actually care about doing work and will stand over to the side and talk. And I hate that stereotype, and I do. And I know that men do it as well. I acknowledge the fact that this is not gender specific, but the problem is we're already thought about that way. It's like we have this stereotype that we're trying to defeat. Like we're trying to defeat the stereotype that we aren't taking it as seriously as the men, or we're not as good as the men. And it hurts when I'm on a call and I see a woman that fits that stereotype, that is just there to get a paycheck and doesn't really work and is like, oh, I'm not strong enough to lift this thing. Please, big, strong man, come get it. That hurts. It makes me angry, and it hurts because I know that it's
right. It hurts when other people are playing into the stereotype, and they may not be doing it on purpose, but it certainly is fuel to that fire of, oh, see, this is why we don't have women on the call. Oh, see, this is why, right? That hurts me too. Mel, I saw you on mic.
Sorry, I was going to reference something earlier, but then we just kept going, and I just was like following, and I was like, yep, yeah, because I've seen that. I we've had the women on the call that do the same thing, and we specifically had a girl one season who she came in, and I didn't notice her at first because I'm rigging. I'm in the air. I don't pay attention to people on the ground. But then sometimes, when people mention something, you take a minute while you're in the air to look down and watch people. And, I was at a venue where we're only 20 feet in the air, so I could watch and listen. And sadly, she was that person, but she knew. And I think that's what angered me. She knew. She would distract the guys. She would pull them from the work they were doing to have them do her job. She knew. And it wasn't one of those, oh, I'm naive to what I'm doing. She knew. She did a lot of things outside of work that the guys talked about too. And it was just like, you're ruining the industry for me. And I didn't want to put her in that place, and I didn't know how to feel about it. And so I remember one time I tried to talk to her, and it was just one of those things where it was like, I'm rigging. She was doing something with a box, and the motor was against her. So I went to go grab the motor and pull it away from her. And she gave me that look like a cat ready to claw your face. And I was just like, hey, I'm just trying to help you out. I see that this motor's against your back. And she was like, I can do it. And I'm like, okay. I don't know what just happened there. I was like, but I'm just going to walk away because I don't know how to handle that situation. But she lost the season and she never came back. So, I mean,
The double standard sucks.
What do you
the
do
fact
about that?
Right.
You want to empower women. You want to encourage them to be stronger, and use their strengths. I'm not saying that she has to be physically strong, but to use your strengths to your advantage, like that's what we do, we empower women, that's a big thing here in, Washington State. But to have someone just basically shit on your ideas, I didn't know what to do.
So there's a couple of things that Sydney and Mel mentioned about presenting yourself on the job site, having a full face of makeup or having your hair done. I mean, to each their own, right? As long as Roy Bickle said, let me pull up that comment again. If you're on the job, do the job and respect others. I don't care what you look like, as long as you're wearing your safety toes, your hard hat, your high vis vest, and you're doing your job, right? So, I don't care if you've got a full face of makeup or not, or if you look like you rolled out of bed, like, to each their own. So and this might be very personal for me. So I'm very curious to hear what others' experience in this have been. When I was younger, like just turned 18, I'm new to the world. You're like, wow, this is the adult world. I have access to more things now. And you're learning more about like what femininity, what does it mean to be feminine? What does it mean to, feel good about myself? What does that mean to me? Feeling good about myself. Does it mean wearing the makeup? Does it mean wearing fitness clothing? What does that mean to me, right? And it's kind of a weird struggle, right? Because when you enter this male-dominated industry at that sort of age, I'm going to say I'm just speaking for myself. I entered the industry and I like feeling sexy. Like, I like to feel sexy. But when you're doing stagehand work and you're wearing baggy clothes, that doesn't feel sexy. So it doesn't feel good. So like, you're new to the world, and I'm figuring out like, oh, but this makes me feel good. And you know what? Your male gaze doesn't need to mean that I can't do my job, right? So fast forward years now I'm able to say, hey man, I'm going to feel sexy when I'm taking my fitness class, in my women's studio. And like, that's the time and place for me to do whatever, to wear the tight clothing, take a dance class, whatever. When I'm on the job site, I'm wearing my cargo pants, and, I don't care what I look like. So, it's taken me personally years to learn how to separate the two, and how to have like on the job site, not lose myself and still present myself in a way that feels me without, I guess, being a distraction. I feel like that's not how I should say it, but I don't know how else to say it. So, what is Sydney, you kind of touched on that a little bit when you were talking about you were in the industry and then you decided to wear full face of makeup, and then things changed a little bit. So, this navigation of the adult world when you're a young girl, or when you're a young woman, like really young woman, Renee, Mel, Lauren, has your experience been in that? Mel.
When I first started in this industry, I was a stagehand. And I specifically remember a coworker of mine tell me that he can tell the difference when I wear a bra and when I wear a sports bra, and I should wear sports bras less.
Oh, it's so creepy. That's so disgusting.
And it's like,
just saying, you can in chat let me know his name. It's fine.
No, guys, don't. We're not supposed to. We don't want it. Sydney,
I'm joking.
It's like, I'm coming to this job and I'm sweating and I'm dirty and I'm going to wear what's freaking comfortable to me.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, a sports bra is just comfortable on the job site. I don't need my breasts to look great for you, because that's not why I'm here. I'm here to do a job and get paid for it.
I'm team no bra, but I will still wear a bra at work because society's just not there yet. So
we have a great friend like that, Renee knows, and she's team no bra, but at work she puts, sports bra on just so one, It's not distracting, but also because of what we do, things hit you in the chest all the time. Whether you're picking up, a 200-foot, soca and it just slams against your body, you don't want that just slapping you around in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I like Tansy's comment.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, not sorry for existing. It doesn't matter what we look like. It's 100% not the woman's fault that men get distracted by our mere existence. Personal story, short one. I wore baggy clothes, like the most non-flattering pants. I mean, I don't even just think the most non-flattering piece of clothing. Wearing it, I'm up on a ladder, hanging a light. And because, my legs are like this, so it's kind of, bringing the fabric closer to my butt, right? So apparently it made my butt look good. And I got to hear a comment about that afterwards. And I'm like, I'm wearing the most non-flattering piece of clothing. Like, this is the opposite of anything sexy whatsoever. And I'm still going to get that comment, right?
It doesn't matter because
it never matters.
Look at you and see that is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is.
That's where it stops, right? That's a woman. Yeah, and then the thought stops there. Nobody thinks about oh, she's perfectly capable of being here and she is exceeding at what she's doing. And she has a personality and she has hobbies and she has this that she cares about. And nobody, that's where the thought stops. Oh, there's a woman.
Can I send a exception to that rule?
Heck yeah.
So when I first started, I was a bit thinner and I'd wear thongs and I'd bend over and the whale tail. And I've got to say, it took me a little bit of time to, people finally were saying something and I'm like, well, I don't want that kind of attention. And, I quickly changed my wardrobe, but I would say that would be an exception to the rule. I was like, no more of that.
And no camel toe.
Oh.
I have to say it.
I wish that I was able to feel comfortable in baggy and less revealing clothes. The whole I was one of my degrees is in dance. I had taken dance classes since I was 3, and the only moment that I departed from that career path is whenever I discovered that this side of the entertainment industry is much more my people. I love dancing. I love dancing completely. Not the biggest fan of dancers and higher-ups.
That's a big switch. That's a really big switch to go from the world of dancing and the outfits that you wear when you're performing there to what you wear as a stagehand / rigger. Damn, Sydney, that sounds like it was quite a transition.
I grew up also going to community theater and helping out with that. So I grew up with the idea that you should be able to do both sides, and it was a combo theater and dance degree. So the transition wasn't as bam, but it was a transition. But no, so my comfy clothes are leggings, tank tops. That's it. Leggings and of course a bra.
Same.
But leggings and tank tops. But
you guys are also in Vegas, so you deal with a lot of high heat.
Yeah, I have leggings that have pockets. As in pockets, they have 2 pockets that are doubled. So I have actually worn those pockets on, obviously not on union calls because I've only had them for about a year, but on automation gig I did, I wore those leggings. On a loadout I recently did, I wore those leggings with a tank top, all black, and Doc Martens. And I fully acknowledge that is going to be seen as not good because it is very much showing my body. But it is also the most comfortable thing for me because baggy clothes that I don't feel like I can move in fully, I don't like it because of my dance background. I don't like most baggy clothes. They are uncomfortable to me. And I am very jealous of the women who are like, yes, I like baggy clothes. I don't necessarily feel sexy, but I'm comfortable in them. And I'm like, I don't really care about feeling sexy. I feel makeup, not necessarily to this extent for work, but makeup that makes me not look sick because gingers look sick compared to the rest of the population because I don't have a lot of
by the ginger community.
that's not red. And wearing a little bit of makeup, not being a frisball, feeling put together, and then being in comfortable clothes that just happens to show off my entire body. And I hate that I can't wear those on a call all the time because the men might judge me. I understand not being able to wear them in some calls for safety reasons, but realistically, as long as I can keep things in my pockets or have a belt that I could put a chalk bag on, like those are actually leggings and a tank top or leggings and a tight fitting t-shirt are acceptable for a call for safety. They are covering everything. There's no loose that something could slip down a pocket and get me burnt. Everything's fine, but I can't always wear it because I'll distract the men on the call. And it sucks. I'm starting to wear it more often now, just not caring though.
What, Mel?
You can't control their eyes. You can't control their thoughts. You can simply state out loud, this is what makes me comfortable. It's like, I can't even.
It's different in all situations. And when I say baggy clothing, I kind of use it as a blanket term to just mean anything unflattering, non-flattering. So,
but why do we have to dress down so much just to avoid other people?
And I was going to say, when Sydney says, I was wearing clothing that shows off my whole body, it's like you could wear leggings that go from your waist. They could be high-waisted leggings that go from above your belly button all the way down to your ankles, and you're fully covered, but we're still seeing the shape of your body. So it's like you're covered, but you're still showing your body, right? That's a little irony or backwards. It's not backwards. I'm pointing that out.
And the whole feeling.
Sorry. When I made the transition into rigging, from a stagehand, I wore dicky pants that fit just my waist and they're straight legs. So they sit however they sit on me. When I transitioned into rigging, I discovered those weren't comfortable, especially when you were in positions where, as Sydney has said, you're basically doing the splits in the air, and we call it, rigging yoga. I had to wear clothes that were a little more form-fitting and stretchy so that I can get into some of those weird areas. I mean, I've climbed in truss that, it's 2 feet high and you're squishing in there so you can get in there and pull that point. I can't do those in baggy dickies. I'm going to get snagged up by something. I can't stretch my legs as wide as I need to.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be uncomfortable in the air just to avoid people staring at me? And like you said, Siobhan, they're going to stare at you no matter what you're wearing.
Yeah, you could be wearing a potato sack.
Thank you.
As Tansy would say. I'm going to pull up this comment. I think that a woman who does her job well is attractive no matter what she wears, but appropriate clothing is a must. Yes. Thank you, Roy. Ethan says, those same men who objectify women at the workplace because they want to have sex with them are probably also afraid gay men want to do the same to them. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Maybe I should have read that comment to its full extent before putting it up there. But yeah, if the boot fits, I guess. We talked about that a little bit, right? Women who are on the job site just because their husband brought them there or their brother brought them there or they're there and they, people think that the crew wants to sleep with them. It may be true, it may not be true. And that's such an unfortunate thing, right? Because as a woman, if I'm on a job site, I do my job. I'm not thinking of anything else. I'm not thinking of any other agenda. And then to be told that someone has a crush on you or to be told that someone, and it's not like a school crush, it's like someone really, really finds you attractive, especially if that person is like in a management position or in a lead role, that's super discouraging because then I'm left thinking, why am I here? Am I here because I'm capable and qualified? Or am I here because the person who was in charge of putting the call sheet together wants to stare at me and who finds me attractive and just wanted to stare at me while I was there, right? I've had those thoughts and I've had those experiences. I've had a manager from a company. We were both no longer working at that company. And he was a firearms instructor. And so I took a lesson from him. And and afterwards he flirted with me and like put my hair behind my ear and was like, "You're so beautiful." And I was like, what? Is this why people were saying that I sleep my way to the top because this person over here wants to sleep with me? I had no knowledge of that until after we were both no longer with that company, where I would hear, "Oh, she just sleeps her way to the top." Like, what? Sydney.
So, two things. First off, I nominate that somebody take a screenshot of whenever Siobhan mentioned that somebody that the guy tucked her hair behind her ear, because we were all making equally disgusted faces, and I want that to be a meme. That was fantastic.
Oh my gosh, someone make that happen.
So the second thing, it just dawned on me, and this is a horrible thought I had. It just dawned on me that I never started wearing things that I was comfortable in, or being comfortable, but it's revealing, or I know that I'm being attractive. I wasn't comfortable doing that until I thought I was in a position that I would be more likely to get the work, or I would be getting the work because I could do the work. I was not comfortable doing that because I was afraid that my appearance would get me work. And I totally agree with Siobhan right now. That is a big fear of mine, and also extends to any time that I've dated somebody in the industry. Mm-hmm. I have a ginormous fear of getting work because I'm pretty, or because who I'm talking to, or who I'm dating, or who wants to date me. Mm-hmm. I don't want work like that. I don't want to be that woman. Like, I want to get work because I'm good, or you think I might be good, or that I am busting my ass. Like, mm-hmm. I want to get work because I deserve it, not because I have all the lady parts. I don't want work because of that. That's not the industry I'm in. I could choose to be in that industry, and I am not. I am in entertainment, rigging, and associated departments. And it sucks for me to realize that it took me being comfortable with myself in that industry, and that was hurting my heart a lot, mm-hmm. to be comfortable on a job.
I think being comfortable with ourselves and having confidence in ourselves is a big theme when we're addressing women on women hate, because this topic has gone on so many different tangents that, again, it's a complex issue, and there's so many different things to analyze and pick apart that, leads to certain behaviors. But we've talked about appearance a lot. We've talked about presentation a lot. We talked about the way that we speak, the way we share ideas with others. Sydney was talking about how she feels the need to be like, "Hey guys, okay, we're on the crew, and here's what we're gonna do." Like, these are the thoughts and challenges that we face, and we're not perfect. It's very much it's almost like it's uncharted waters, and it's like a storm that we have to navigate through. We're navigating how we feel about ourselves, the confidence we have in ourselves. Do we feel that we're qualified? Do we like the way that we look? Do we like the clothes that we're wearing? Are we okay with the amount of makeup we are putting on ourselves? Are we okay with doing our hair? Are we okay? Do we feel okay with who we're dating or who we're interested in? Do we feel okay with the platonic relationship where we may be trying to have? That's a lot of questions that we have to ask ourselves. And it's something that we have to navigate through for years of our lives. And in our private chat, Renee said, these questions go away when you have the more experience you gain and the more confidence you gain in yourself, that question just goes away. Renee also says, hold your head up high because you're good. On sleeping our way to the top, which we, women often get accused of. I have to say it, Renee, because it just made me laugh. Where did it go? Renee says, she says, I always sleep before I accept a higher position. I love it. Yeah, you should get good sleep before accepting a higher position. Duh. And I guess if you're on a tour bus, and you really literally are sleeping around the country or the world, so I'm done. Come on, Renee, unmic. I
I'm
can't
totally
speak
not
for you,
stealing
girl.
that in the future.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself, you know. I like in the end of that series of comments, I also had said, you know, even if it is the case that someone is hiring you because you're hot, you know, well, maybe they didn't realize they were getting a double powerhouse, you know. You're good looking and you're awesome. So, you know, it's whatever. Off the shoulders, keep moving on. You know, it's just, you know, they're nobody to you, you know.
Mhm.
So you're awesome. You know you got this.
So we've had some interesting comments come in. I love 98% of the comments. There have been 2 comments that made me go, I'm not sure what we're saying or what we're asking. One of them was, do I have to have a vagina to be on this podcast? No, you don't. I do live streams for all kinds of topics. And, you know, actually, if men are interested in talking about their experiences, and it doesn't have to be like men in rigging, it could just be like challenges that men face in society, I'd be happy to host that. Because I would learn a lot from that. So no, you don't have to be a vagina. You don't have to have a vagina to be on my show. And then this other one, I'm pretty certain sluts can be very good workers. I don't know how to address this comment because I think it's in good fun. Right, because I'm not here to shame the sex industry. I think it's a valid industry if you're a stripper or a sex worker. Yes, those are 2 different things. Again, let's go back to the bro code, right? You do you, and I'll do me, and we'll just stay out of each other's way and have this base level of respect for each other, right? So I'm not here to shame what anybody chooses to do for work, but like, I'm not sure how I feel about this comment because just the word slut is derogatory. And whether you mean, oh yeah, I used to be a sex worker and I wanted to change my career, so now I'm a woman in rigging. Like, that's, you know, or you could be saying slut, and then it's like, you may not be referring to someone in the sex industry or otherwise. You may just be calling any one of us a slut, right? And that's just derogatory. I have nothing else to say about this comment. Someone else speak.
Let's just put him in the air.
Wait, hold on. Are we saying have him climb a rope? Or are we saying stick him
Lauren,
in a harness and rig him up and stick him up there?
Lauren, you had some interesting facial expressions and you haven't said anything for a while.
I do feel like anybody who's choosing that specific word in a context of watching women on a screen, there's a disconnect between them.
There you go.
A real disconnect, and I feel like I get it. I get I just was trying to have fun, but like this platform, not necessarily. Like, you didn't get heard. You didn't get heard by the 5 women on the screen. You didn't get heard the way you wanted to be heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, you said it better than me. So no, I think it's interesting. Like, right? Like there's a prime example of some of the things that we have to deal with on a hopefully not day-to-day basis.
But that's sort of what Cindy was saying before, right? The character that you're putting on. Like sometimes I know specifically for me, I will put on a very like pro-friendly conversation, like much more like, you know, dude talk than I would. And that's one of those things where like I can't dude talk that word. I can't. It doesn't fit in my body. It doesn't come out of my mouth very well. Like it's over a line for me.
Definitely. Sometimes being a host is hard because I'm like multitasking and then you guys stop talking and I'm like, no, I'm not ready to comment on anything. No. I love it. I actually learned a lot from your last live. I'm not in your industry and not I have so much respect for it now. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. That
Thank
is
you,
super
bro.
that's
Literal
awesome.
bro.
I love that. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys.
No.
All right. Well, we've been going for almost 2 hours, and I did say I will try to keep this to 1 hour, and I've completely and utterly failed at my promise to all of you. I'm so sorry. But I can't help it. We unpacked so much, and I think our conversation has been incredibly valuable. Sorry, go ahead, Mel.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I wasn't saying anything. I'm just.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, this has been it's been a great conversation, and I love the comments that we're getting on YouTube. We've had a really steady stream of viewers this entire time. I mean, I'm not going to do part 3. I just feel like that's excessive, but maybe I should. I don't know. We'll see what the audience thinks. So,
Yeah, let them request it.
I will let them request it, right? Oh my gosh. I want to be the person who listens to understand, not the person who listens to respond. And that's super difficult when you're a host and you're like multitasking and you're like, oh, yes, interesting. Yes. And what do you feel about this? And it's like, oh, no, let me soak all this conversation in like a sponge. I can't wait to watch the replay and I can't wait to edit this and make clips out of all of our conversation. Thank you guys so. Oh, no, we got a request. Please do part 3. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Kevin. You all rock. Keep your heads up. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. Thank you for all your comments. I'm going to wrap it up here because we are almost at 2 hours and that is insane. But it really is so much to unpack and it's so much to talk about. And, you know, I don't know that there's too many platforms where these kinds of conversations are happening so openly without any reservations. I did not expect to use the word fuck and slut and shame and like all these things. Like I wasn't expecting it. I do try to keep my platform geared towards high school students who are trying to figure out what to do with their career. But at the same time, this is the industry that I started my career in, and this is an extremely important topic. And I hope that by having these conversations and just understanding each other, we're able to keep those misogynistic thoughts in check and reprogram our brains. And we're able to call out the person who says, oh, she's probably here because so-and-so wants to sleep with her. If you're standing next to that guy, just be like, hey man, no, that's inappropriate. We don't say that here. We respect our coworkers. You know, give her a shot. Or if she's a veteran, it's not give her a shot. It's she's already proven herself. She's here for a reason. So
I can't even.
I hear y'all have been degrading anyone who might be sleeping around as though promiscuity equals worthlessness. We didn't even
acknowledging this.
Well, I put it. I did put it on the. I did put it on the screen. It was kind of an accident because I'm trying to wrap it up, but I guess I'll acknowledge it now. All I'll say is that no, I don't think sleeping around is bad. That is a whole other that's another issue that plays into women on women hate. It's another issue that plays into any issues that we face when we are in a male dominated industry. So, you know, I'll acknowledge it. And I apologize if we came off as shaming those who, you know, I apologize if we come across as shaming anybody who has different lifestyles other than our own. And I will just keep it and I'll just leave it at that because what we're about here is about understanding each other, hearing about what our experiences are and respecting one another. And as Roy Bickle said, getting the job done because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters, right? So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go around this panel for some final thoughts. Lauren, would you like to start?
I feel a little off kilter. I think that you're right. You're saying that we're providing a platform for women to speak honestly about our experiences in the industry, whether that's rigging or somewhere else, and being able to support each other and self-promote is an incredible, honest and genuine place that we're all coming from. And I thank you for hosting it.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Lauren, and sharing your insight with us. Renee, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to say that as far as someone's sex life is concerned at work, it's none of my business. And I would not apologize to anyone for our conversation. We don't need to explain it. It's if you don't get it, you don't get it. So, but this has been a really great experience. It's been really awesome to meet and hear some really diverse aspects from other people. I've learned a lot as well as been able to express a lot. So thank you very much.
Always a pleasure having you, Renee. Mel, any final thoughts?
I'm really glad that I've met you ladies. I'm going to say I'm spoiled here in Washington, and I love to hear the experiences that you ladies have had and what you're going through. And I feel like I'm learning a lot from you. And I do hope to see you ladies when I come out to Vegas next. Yeah, I would like to speak to you outside of this and really get your thoughts that you're not expressing here.
I think we need a Women in Rigging, like a live event now that we're all
LDI.
Heck,
LDI.
I was gonna say, are we
Yes.
doing happy hour? We're doing happy hour.
we should, you know what? We should have our own happy
LDI.
hour. Reach out to me. Someone reach out to me. Let's make this happen. An Industry Explorers Women in Rigging happy hour, because not just this panel, but I want to meet everyone who's been part of this. And no, you don't have to be a woman to be part of that, right? Because we've got men in these comments who are contributing and asking great questions and contributing really great insight and being allies. And I appreciate you guys. Again, thank you guys for tuning in here. And yes, let's make this happy hour happen for sure. Sydney, any final thoughts?
I just want to say I'm happy to actually talk to like other women who are very serious and passionate about this and like this. And I love hearing from you guys. And on another selfish thing, I really like having the ability to say things that I barrage my friends with on a daily basis, but don't necessarily feel comfortable saying directly to my coworkers, because like I really want to go up to my coworkers and be like, you are being extremely misogynistic right now. This is not okay. But also acknowledging that I don't always have the platform for that. And that is like, I like hearing y'all stories, but I also really appreciate having the platform to tell people like, yeah, this is a serious issue. Please actually think about this. And the whole, being a woman in the industry and being a woman rigger is not always great. And being able to acknowledge and empathize with that, but also talk about how hopefully we can make it better. It's a great platform to both get things and also give those thoughts that I've been hoping to share with people and couldn't. And it's kind of great.
I'm really happy that we were able to have this platform with each other, Sydney. Absolutely. And thank you for being on this panel with us and sharing your insight and your experiences with us as well. Guys, if you like what you see on Industry Explorers, please give that subscribe button a click. It helps me out. It helps me achieve my goals so that I can have more series like this. And eventually, I would like to bring this live, as in I want to be next to a person like a la Mike Rowe in Dirty Jobs and be next to someone and be like, hey, how does this work? How does your industry work? How does your career work? What's the best part of this? How do you troubleshoot this? Hey, what insight do you have to share with other people? I'd love to make that happen, and it'll happen through the support, just by subscribing, just by sharing these events with others. And I also love taking requests. I did just get a request for Women in Mechanics series. I am now on the hunt, and I'm going to host that. It may happen. It may happen 3 months from now, 2 months from now, who knows? But it's on my mind, and I'm going to make it happen. And any requests that you guys have, I love taking them, because I have these platforms, not for me, for you. It's for you guys. So whatever you want, I want to bring it to you. Again, please give that subscribe button a click. And until next time, guys, I will see you all on our next adventure. Take care, explorers.